Okay, so we are online currently. So hello everyone, this is Tom, and welcome to another webinar from Linkhouse. I am pleased to welcome my amazing guests, Karl Kangur and Kyle. Hello, guys.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hello, hello.
So before we get to the questions, a few short announcements. As you have probably seen, we just have launched a loyalty program in which you can win, among others, a lot of vouchers, our merch, as I hate SEO t-shirts, iPhone 15, PlayStation, and even Tesla and Porsche 911. So the real ones. So it's really worth to start ASAP. So I encourage you to register or log in into Linkhouse on app.linkhouse.co and learn more about the rules and of the loyalty program, because during today's webinar we will be adding additional points for activity. So basically feel free to ask any questions, and for the all latecomers, we will upload the entire webinar soon, so you will be able to watch it once again. And the second announcement is for the Polish community, so I will switch into Polish for a while. Już w tę niedzielę w Siemianowicach Śląskich odbędzie się SEO bieg, pierwszy charytatywny bieg SEO, z którego dochód zostanie w całości przeznaczony na cele stricte charytatywne. My jako Linkhouse mamy zaszczyt sponsorować ten event, więc zapraszamy Was wszystkich. Odwiedźcie stronę seobieg.pl i zgłoście swój akces. Dystans to tylko 5 km, więc na pewno dacie radę. And a little more about our guests. Now the introduction is over, so our guests, Kyle, Roof and Karl Kangur, apart from being very well-known people in our industry, they are also involved in SEO Estonia, the biggest European SEO conference with huge names such as Kasradash, Julian Goldie, Matt Singers, and a lot of others, really good speakers. It will take place in less than a month, from 12th till 14th of June. As far as I know, the guys will have something special for you on this occasion. So, Karl, can you tell me more about it? It seems to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, last year, Kyle and I decided to start SEO Estonia. It's where I'm originally from. And the goal was to create something special for people in Europe. We've got some great conferences in the US and Asia and so on and so forth. And we felt like there wasn't really something like that in Europe that we personally really wanted to go to, so that we wanted to create something like that. And Linkhouse is one of our amazing main sponsors this year. So by the Linkhouse guys, we have a couple of free tickets we're going to be giving away live at the end of this webinar. So stay tuned for that. And then we've also got some special announcements and gifts on top of that.
Yeah, amazing. So feel free to ask questions, and feel welcome to grab those tickets, because it's not easy to get them. Okay, so I think we can go through the questions. So because everybody, I think, are waiting for the questions, so we can slowly move on. The first one, very good question, I think, and very general as well. So I will leave it to your interpretations. Guys, 3 most important things in SEO that you should focus on, in your opinion. Maybe we'll start from Kyle.
Okay. When I was thinking about this question, the thing that really struck me the most, though, in SEO is, how are you going to make money? How are you monetizing? Should really be a number one consideration. If you're offering services, how are you going to be getting clients? How are you going to be charging for these services? How are you going to be maintaining those services? What kind of deliverables you're going to have? If you have your own content sites, your own e-commerce site, your own affiliate site, how are you monetizing that? Is it just through a pure affiliate play? Are you doing ads? What kind of mix is in there? How are you doing it so that Google is not going to hate that site in light of recent updates? And so I really think, if you're getting into SEO, you're in SEO, how you're monetizing has to be a number one consideration. And then it's going to then dictate the type of SEO you're going to do, or how you're going to approach things, or what you're actually going to do for SEO. And I think a lot of people skip that step initially. They think, oh, I'll just put up a website. and I'll make money. But how will you do that? Or I might open an SEO agency. Sure. How are you planning on getting those clients? How are you going to service those clients? What is your unique perspective on anything that you're going to be providing? And so I think if you can answer that question, how you're going to monetize what you're doing, or how you're actually going to make money out of any of this, then it can kind of get you into any of those other things about what you're going to focus on in any other form of SEO.
Okay. So, Karl, what do you think about it? How you can answer this question, general question?
Yeah, totally agreed with Kyle in the sense that whenever you start with SEO, it's important to know where you're going. So, like, what is the goal here? What are the keywords you want to rank for? What are you going to get out of it? And then you come up with a plan of how you're actually going to get there. And the most important thing is to realize that SEOs, we talk about hundreds of different ranking factors, and in every industry, for every business, every website, those things are going to be different. There's no three most important things, because it's going to depend on where your competitors are at, where your own site is at, and where you're lacking. So it's always a combination of those pillars of like on-page, technical, content, and links. And you might already be in a really good space. So if you're working on Amazon, well, if you own Amazon.com or you work on their SEO team, links are probably not a huge priority for you. That's where the technical things and so on become more important. So you work backwards from, here's the keyword I want to rank for. Here's what the top 5 is looking at. And then you map out, okay, my site is here. We're on the same level with these types of things. Here's the area we're lacking in. And then you kind of try to close those gaps. So it's always very individual.
Okay. Yeah, it seems fair. So I think we can move to the second question. And I think it seems to be related in some point with the first one. The most important and underestimated factors that are not talked about enough. It's also a general question, but I think it's got a good question, because I'm very curious about your points of view. So maybe we'll start from Karl now.
I think one of the easiest things to neglect is the fact that SEO is a winner takes all game. So if we look at the number 1 position, you get like 35 to 40% of the clicks. Number 2 is 15%. Number 3 is 9%, just like as a wide average. So as SEOs, we're always kind of chasing doing more and more. So we publish more content and we build more links and so on and so forth. But it's very easy to kind of neglect the rankings you already have. So maybe you published something a year ago, you got to number 1, and then you just move on to the next thing. And I think a lot of people kind of neglect the fact that over time your rankings drop. So maybe you went from number 1 to number 2, you dropped from number 1 to number 4. Well, realistically, you lost like half of your traffic right there, and you might just not do anything about it. So I think rank tracking is extremely underappreciated, and also page level tracking, like what's dropping in traffic, because oftentimes it is very tiny changes, or like the process of updating an old post to get you back from number 3 to number 1, and you can get some massive wins from that.
Okay. Kyle?
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that answer a lot. You definitely need a system for how you're going to monitor the work that you've already done. You've achieved page 1 rankings, you're doing great, but then how do you keep on top of that? I think that's a really good one, Karl. Something that I thought about is that traffic solves all problems. And keeping an eye on, are you getting the impressions you were getting before? Are you getting traffic? Where your traffic source is coming from? Because there's a lot that's kind of within SEO and around SEO that relates to traffic, and sites that get traffic tend to do better. Sites that get traffic tend to keep their rankings. Sites that get traffic rank for more keywords. I'm sure there's a little bit of a chicken and the egg in there, but really, if you're focused on the things that will bring the most amount of traffic, usually you're going to be okay. You're going to be making sales. As more people come to the site, the clicks go up, the sales go up by a certain percentage. So anything that you can do that's going to increase traffic, I think, is also something that's not talked about a lot. Don't shy away from, if you realize traffic sources outside of just plain SEO that you can take advantage of, do it. Don't get locked into solely one form of traffic or one type of traffic. And that can also just be in the types of keywords too, or the approaches that you're taking. There are a lot of different ways to do it, a lot of different ways to do it effectively, but focusing on traffic, and I think you'll be all right.
Okay. So in a nutshell, monitoring the situation, systematizing the work, and focusing on the priorities and converting things. Yeah. Okay. So the next question that we've prepared.
I've got one more.
Yeah.
I've got one more thing to add to that I think is massively underestimated. Well, actually, in recent years, it's been talked about more and more, like zero search volume keywords and so on and so forth, and topical authority kind of ties into that. But it's like you really don't know until you try. So like I've had a lot of surprises. I had a very authoritative digital marketing site, and like my natural instinct was to go after high search volume keywords and popular things. So in digital marketing, I was like, I want to rank for ClickFunnels review. That's a massive tool, and like SEMrush and all these things. And then I neglected things I just didn't know about. And then a couple of years ago, there was a keyword that had maybe 150 searches a month. And it was a review of a course that I personally didn't know anything about. And I kind of published it anyway. And then I didn't even monetize it, to Kyle's point. I never bothered adding in the affiliate links because to me, that topic didn't really mean anything. And I was having lunch with a friend. He was like, you do know that's a $6,000 product, right? And this was giving me 50% commissions. And then one day I added in the affiliate links actually during that very lunch. And that one post was generating $15,000 a month in affiliate commissions. And like, just based on the keyword data, like I was very unlikely to go for that keyword. So really like focus on the business intent. I think it's very easy for us to kind of start chasing vanity traffic. And we all want to see those like really impressive traffic graphs. Like we went from 2,000 to 100,000. Like that makes a really cool Facebook post and case study and so on and so forth. But then you really have to tie it back to the business reasons and like, okay, why are we growing this traffic? And is this going to help our business cause?
Yeah, totally agree. I think numbers are just the numbers, and as you said, specific phrases often covered more effectively. So we need to take a look on the business point every time. I completely agree. Okay, the third question: relation between SEO and Google Ads. Love or hate? I'm very curious about your opinion about it. Kyle. Let's start with you.
At a minimum, it's going to help you index your pages. If you're having pages that aren't getting found by Google, it's a way to do it. You can set them up within there, and you can get them to index, and it's going to go. But it's also not a bad idea to try on pages that have like those ones that are indexed, but they're just zeros across the board. Like they are there, but they aren't doing anything for some reason. I've had success sending ads to those types of pages as well. I know other people have reported that if they've seen a ranking increase. I don't know if that's going to move you from page 2 to page 1, but it's also definitely something to try. As much as Google wants to deny it, there is something there. I think at a minimum for indexing, it'll help out, but it could also, maybe just the traffic that's coming in is beneficial to the page just to get some more signals on there. So I like it. I wouldn't use it as the thing that's going to move me to number 1, but it's the thing that can get you into the game. I think for sure.
Okay, Karl.
Yeah, it isn't something that I personally tested, but it does seem like over the last year or two, more and more people are talking about it, like and saying they ran tests and this kind of helped them. So I definitely wouldn't shy away from it. I think Kyle, you had a test about it. You announced it at Check My SEO, but there are other uses as well. So we often have clients who are like, you know, I can never give them any kind of business guarantees or anything like that, but like we can make some estimates of, you know, what's the realistic timeline for you to rank? You know, how much money do you have to invest to get to where your competitors are? And they're like, okay, well, I don't really know if this traffic is going to convert or make a difference. So one recommendation we always give is like, you know, if you know you're going to be investing in SEO for 2 years and, you know, potentially putting $120,000 towards it, you might as well just run some Google ads for the same keywords and see if that traffic converts for you at what kind of rates and so on before you kind of start going after those keywords. So if you have, you know, you sell office chairs, for example, you don't know if you want to rank for gaming chairs as well, you know, make a category, run some ads for it, see how that does, and then you can, you know, decide if it's worth investing from the SEO perspective.
Yeah. So what do you think about you know, the voices, that the connection between the ads and you know, organic searches will be related soon? What do you think? It's Do you see some kind of things, or not exactly at this moment?
I have my doubts, but it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest.
Okay. Kyle, any thoughts about it?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know that there's going to be a one-to-one. You must spend in order to rank. I don't think that's going to happen. But otherwise,
okay, we'll see. Fourth question, also kind of general question. How the perfect link profile looks like?
I think that's got to be a question for Karl right there.
Karl, yeah, definitely.
I feel like it's a similar thing when people talk about diet. Like, you can follow the keto diet and you can do this thing, but it's like, in the end, if you look at all of the science, it kind of comes back to what we were taught as a kid of, like, it's the rule of balance. Like, you want a little bit of carbs, some healthy protein, and a bunch of vegetables. And it's the same with SEO. It's like, it needs to be balanced. You need all of the things to an extent. And the way I kind of look at it is that there are four main things we're kind of trying to get out of links. So first of all, there is locality. So if I have a Polish business, I probably want to get some Polish links going. So that's like the foundation. Then you have topically relevant links. So if I'm selling, again, gaming chairs or office chairs, you want some that are related to chairs, furniture, things like that. So you need to cover that as well. Then you have the anchor text. So anchor text has always been important. I think it's a little bit less important these days, but then you need some links that have the anchor text part covered. Then the last thing you need is power. So you need some links that are powerful and give you credibility. Otherwise, we could all just buy brand new domains and then just set up websites and like link using that. Now, I think the biggest kind of fallacy people have is that, all of those things need to come from one link. So if I sell office chairs, I need other office chair businesses that are really strong to link to me with the exact keyword I'm trying to rank for, and they need to be Polish websites. So I think you need all of those things covered, but they don't have to come from one place. So if, as a Polish business, well, taking a step back, it comes back to identifying what you're missing as a part of that equation. So if I'm a business that's been around for 4 years doing this in Poland, I probably already have some Polish links. That's already covered by the directories. That's already covered by natural discussions on forums. So I don't need to chase for more of those. And if I've done some link building in the past, and I've already got some rankings, like, you don't need more anchor text. Google already knows what the site is about if you're ranking for thousands and thousands of keywords. But if I'm a DR30 and all my competitors are DR50, 60s, okay, I need to fix the power aspect. That's the missing part. So that's where you double down on.
Okay. Well, seems fair. Okay, the other question, the next question. Give me a sec. Let's look at the chat. We have a lot of questions on the chat also, but okay, we'll back to them soon. The fifth question, it seems to be related to the previous one, because also I wanted to ask about it and know your opinion about PBNs. Do they work, and is Google able to penalize them anyhow, or it just depends as everything?
Yeah, so I think it was like 2011, 2012 when private blog networks got taken down, and there was this public hanging of like Build My Rank and like all these like big networks. And like, sure, Google can catch those because they're not private. PBN stands for private blog network. If you're selling it on Black Hat World and Fiverr, and like, that's not what private is. Of course, Google can catch those. And we actually ran a real private blog network those days, and they never really stopped working. And I think around 2017, 2018, we kind of started getting more into it and realized, like, yeah, they still work fantastically if they're done right. And I talked about this in Saigon at the conference, that in the past couple of years, we've kind of taken a new approach to PBNs, and we call it, like, I call it the PBN 2.0. And that is effectively utilizing real hobby businesses to build much higher quality PBNs. So what we do is we would buy a site on, for example, Flippa or some kind of brokerage or off Facebook group, and you buy a site that's a DR50, DR60, but it's a legitimate kind of business, or at least it used to be someone's hobby business. And you really want to keep treating those as real sites. So our goal is still to get more traffic with them, keep building links to them, and keep also making money with them. So we might monetize them with ads or affiliate or whatever. And we use them in many different ways. So it's not just we're using the PBN to build clients to build links to our clients, but these are high quality websites we can also use for exchanges. So if we have, we have 10 different sites that are DR 50 to 70, and let's say I'm trying to get a link from GetResponse or HubSpot or something like that. Now I can go to the HubSpot SEO team or their link building team and say, hey, I can get you 4 links. I can get you one on this DR 70, one DR 60, one of this DR 81. And we basically we're using the PBNs to trade favors. So we give them a bunch of good links. Now they might let us do a guest post on their site. So if you build them out in a really high quality way, you can keep using these favors, and all of these kind of little things end up compounding over time. And now because the assets are higher quality, we can get more out of other link building relationships as well. So usually if you're doing a guest post on a good site and you only have a couple of clients or a couple of your own sites, you get one link out of them and then it's done. For us, we can get a second guest post, which is much easier to get because the relationship is already there. Now we use that guest post to make our kind of in-house PBN a little bit stronger. So it gives you a lot more flexibility, and they still work like magic, especially in foreign industries.
Yeah, so we are, back to the quality. So in fact, in the new trend of PBNs, only the name remains of the old PBNs, and the quality must be on the different level to make them useful anyhow. Yeah, do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's true for any kind of link building, right? So yeah. Guest posting kind of in a way gets a bad reputation now, but the guest posts we're hating on are the ones if you open up the homepage and it's like personal injury lawyer and CBD and SEO agency in Sydney and this. Every single post is an obvious guest post. That's what we're hating on. But if you open up a legitimate guest post site now, you can't really tell if it passes that the kind of look and sniff test. It's probably still a good link. The same goes for PBNs. If there's only ever 12 posts published on it and half of those are links to your clients, that's probably not going to work, at least not for a very long time. But if you look at it and it appears a legitimate site, the homepage isn't full of links. It's not, everything's not a homepage link. It looks like a real business at a glance. It's still going to work great.
Yeah, so basically a lot of people hate guest posts because of the opinions from the past, that follow the guest posts. So when the guest post meaning was not that flexible as it's now, definitely. Maybe we can input one question from our chat, and feel free to ask more of them because they seems to be really interesting. Sajid asks how to optimize the on-page of homepage for local small businesses. Also a quite wide question, but maybe you can ask it somehow. Kyle?
Yeah, for the homepage for just about any business, I want to leave that for the brand more than anything. So I would like to talk about the brand there and then maybe the main concept of the site there. If you want to target specific terms, then your services, your products, whatever, that's usually best left for an internal page. And so what I would do with my homepage is that I would have it focused on the brand. I'd have my organization schema on that page. I'd point my citations to the homepage because then I'm building up the brand with that page. And then so once I got into a specific keyword, then I would use an internal page from there.
Okay, Karl?
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that.
Okay. So we'll move to the next question. How to build topical authority in your opinion? Let's start with a Karl opinion, maybe.
Yeah, so I take very much like a 80-20 approach to it. So I'm not a huge fan of covering every single topic under the planet. So a lot of people are like, okay, we're going to identify the smallest things and go for 200, 300 articles. I don't think it doesn't work, but my approach is very much like, what's the least I can do? What are the most important topics I can cover? And I always take I look at it from both sides. So if it's let's say I want to rank for ClickFunnels review, which is a landing page tool, then I want to make sure I have some topical authority about ClickFunnels. So how to use it, what are the templates, what are the pricing. So I would do like 5 articles about ClickFunnels, and then I would have the other side of topical authority is the landing pages themselves. So how do you build a good landing page, and landing page best practices, whatever, and basically see what my competitors have done, identify the most common ones, and go for those. And then over time, you'll see, have I hit the point where that's enough? And then over time, I might be able to add more of those.
Okay, Kyle.
I really like that approach on taking the topics or the categories that your competitors have done and the ones that they're sharing are ones I look at. A technique that I would add to that would be do a search that's the general themes of your site, like the main concepts of the site, your top level keywords, if you will. And then once you do that search, click over into the images tab. And at the top of the images tab, you're going to see a lot of entities and some semantic terms up there. And some of them you'll see are terms you might want to get on the page for a particular keyword, but you'll notice that there are a lot of categories that they list there. They're semantic categories. I would feel very comfortable covering those semantic categories to say that that's going to get me to topical coverage and might provide a guideline for maybe how far you need to go for a particular term. So you can take your top 3 terms to kind of cover what this site is about, do that. And then within those semantic categories, I think you'll get some pretty good guidance.
Okay, so Sachit asks also a question related to the semantics. So it is, do you think understanding semantics, implementing the semantic triples is necessary to rank websites going forward? Kyle, you can.
Isn't semantic triples just writing a sentence like subject, object, predicate, or is it putting the same term like 3 times in a row? I've seen it defined where it's like you've got like a term clustered within a small area, but I've also seen it defined as subject, object, predicate kind of a thing. You just have sentence structure. Either way, you should have it anyway. I feel like it's one of those things that it should just happen by virtue of writing good sentence structure and having an outline for your page. And so I feel like that might be one of those terms that I wouldn't focus on necessarily. I'd focus on writing a good sentence, and I'd focus on getting the term counts that I need. And if you're writing good sentences and you're organizing it in a good way, I don't think you have to worry about something.
Okay. I hope you're happy, Sajid, with that answer. I feel free to ask more of them because you asked 2 questions, and yeah, we asked them. So our last questions, last of our main list questions is SGE, how to prepare. What is your approach to this topic? So let's start with Karl.
So I'm personally very skeptical about SGE being rolled out at a massive scale. There's a bunch of reasons for that. Google has kind of announced that these are experiments. So there was actually a deadline that I think around December, they were like, this experiment is ending, and then we'll see, what's going to happen with it. And it was something they were kind of forced to roll out and start experimenting with to not fall behind Microsoft and kind of, put on a good face and show like we're actually making progress with this thing as well. But realistically, like these are so expensive for them to give out. And we see infinite examples of this on SEO Twitter that, the answer quality currently is not there. It's not ready to be rolled out. So I personally don't think it's going to be at any massive scale. There might be certain types of queries where it's going to be more and more common, kind of like, we had the weather widget come out and then weather sites were down and like, featured snippet style. It might be rolled out selectively, but like, is this going to change all of SEO in the next year? I am very skeptical of that. And then the other, how do you prepare for that? Just being a real business, doing SEO the way we do it, all of that kind of contributes, because ultimately SG is trained on data sets. So if you have, let's say best SEO courses is what you want to be the SG answer for. If there are already hundreds of articles saying Kyle Roof's SEO course is the best SEO course, that's going to be part of the training data.
Okay, Kyle.
Yeah, I think for your own site, the having good semantic structure in terms of your HTML You know, you have your 1H1 at the top, you've got your H2s, your H3s, your H4s. It's not all janky. You don't start your thing with like an H3 and an H5 at the top above your H1 for whatever reason. You're not using H tags just for style that a lot of sites do, and then you're throwing in terms there that don't matter to what they're talking about. Remember, the bot's going to have to be able to read this thing clearly to understand, okay, this concept is about the answer that I'm looking for. You need to make it very clear. Getting your most important things into like an FAQ type schema where you're answering questions if it's a type of SG that's going to answer a question. So the easier you can make it for a search engine to understand what's on your page, the better. You should be doing that anyway. But a lot of people don't. So you know, like, do those basic things that I think you're supposed to be doing anyway, and I think you'll be fine for appearing in those SG areas. But as Karl said, who knows what's going to roll out right now? If it's going to be anything massive or earth-shattering, I doubt it. In light of just kind of how things have gone recently, I don't think we're going to see anything massive in the next little bit. And as it slowly rolls out, it'll be the same as everything else that's rolled out, where people freak out, it's going to end everything, and then they realize, like, oh, it's not so bad, and everything's pretty much the same. So that's how I think it's going to go from here. We'll be okay. We'll figure out how to manage it, and it'll be just fine.
Yeah, I think there's a few other risks in like Google's perspective as well for rolling this out. So because when Google's SG is giving the answer, and like imagine it's a medical query and it gives the wrong answers, like, oh, you have this disease, and it's like they give you the completely wrong medicine. Like that technically puts the liability on Google because their AI is giving you the answer versus, you know, if you display 10 sites, it's just like, oh, here are the options, like do your research, right? Versus Google giving you the definitive answer using AI. So that's one major risk for them for rolling this out. And then the other side to think about, which I haven't done a ton of research on, is like the copyright aspect of it. So if Google's scraping my site and presenting that as the answer, not giving credit, not giving a link back to the site, like, you know the European Union is going to be going after this to some extent, and publishers as well who are losing traffic and business to this. I think we're going to see a point where they're going to start taking action on that as well.
Yeah, on the one hand, we may be afraid, but on the other, we can also do the callback to the topic of more specific phrases that can convert even more strongly and have a natural view of the SERPs. Yeah, a lot of point of views. But let's talk about questions from our chat, from our audience. So Sebastian asks, what do you think? Backlinks with UGC and sponsored rel are necessary for link building profile or not? Karl?
I don't think there's enough data on my side. I don't think they're necessary because it's not something we've ever intentionally done.
Yeah.
And we're still ranking fine. Our clients are doing fine. I know we have plenty of clients that don't do that. They're not the types of links we're chasing. I think a lot of those, again, will come organically as you start ranking for more terms, as you evolve as a real business. You're going to get those. But I'm very skeptical that these are mandatory. Might they become more important in years? Like a real business, which Google wants to rank, probably is going to get mentioned on Reddit at some point and on forums recommended and so on. So it might be good for them to put a little more focus on the UGC stuff. The sponsored stuff, I don't think Google kind of filters those out. I think it's similar to nofollow, where if there's reasonable there's good enough reason to think this is a good link, it doesn't matter if it's nofollow, it's still going to pass juice. I think the same thing is going to kind of matter for the sponsored links.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that. And then I don't think that there's like a percentage of different types of links that you have to have in order to not get in trouble or to have a profile that is this, that, or the other. So I wouldn't stress about having a certain number of sponsored or rel UGC type links. I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, I either think that we probably shouldn't compare UGC and sponsored stuff to organically collected nofollows. So it's completely other things, as Karl said. Okay, other questions. General questions. General question from Muhammad: would link building vanish? Karl, what do you think?
No, it's not going anywhere. Karl can answer this, but he'll talk about the sites that survive are the ones with the highest DR. What do you know? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, if we look at every single update over the last 4 or 5 years, links have only gotten more and more important with every single update. And like that's the trend. I do think it's going to be continuing on. The more AI is making this so much more easier. There's more and more content in the world, more and more sites, and effectively like everything else there's a maximum score, right? So if you look at on-page SEO. If you follow all the best coding practices, everything Google recommends, perfect site structure, perfect internal linking, so on and so forth, you can get 100% score. There's no way for you to go beyond that. And like you can hit diminishing returns relatively quickly with that. And then if we look at the content side as well, that is an algorithm. It's math. Like Google's Kyle's proven this time and time again by ranking websites with lorem ipsum and fake text, and inserting the keywords into the right places. Google doesn't know, what you've actually visited, and there's no way for them to know that. So content theoretically can be maximized as well. So when you have so many websites in the end that are perfect or close to perfect, how are you going to choose between them? There has to be some kind of voting mechanism, and links have always been the hardest thing to kind of manipulate, and those are the votes. If the U.S. government gives you a link, that's one of the most powerful votes you can get. If Forbes gives you a link, we know that they're very difficult to manipulate. It's hard to get on there, and that's going to be the kind of deal breaker there.
Yeah, so
tiebreaker.
Yeah, definitely. So I either think that links will stay, but the importance of other factors around links increases or decreases through the last years, and this is fact. Okay, Joy Dip asks, which backlinks are mostly working these days for a local business site? It's hard to answer for this kind of question, but let's give you a try. Karl?
I think it comes back to what we discussed earlier. Is like the best type of link that's going to work for you is the link type you're missing. So if you're ranking in a local area, you don't have any local relevance, it might be the local link that's going to help you the most. If you're a brand new site, you don't have any authority compared to your competitors, you're going to need a powerful link. But I think one of the most important things is that relevance is massively kind of misunderstood as well. Like, sure, you need some relevant links, but the key thing we look for when it comes to link building is that it has to make sense. That's when a link is going to count. So if we look at, like, let's say, again, I have a website about office chairs, and then I get a link from, a car website that doesn't make sense to exist, and there's a good chance Google's not going to count it. But at the same time, if you go back 3-4 years, people, or longer than that, 5-6 years, people would pay thousands of dollars to get a link from Forbes. Well, Forbes is not a furniture site, yet that was a very powerful link for you to get. Why is that? Well, because Forbes can be relevant to anything. Forbes can just talk about you as a business. So it's a link that makes sense to exist. Therefore, it's going to count. So, you want to have links that make sense. But ultimately, I do think, for most of the sites we work with, we look at the link power is usually the number one thing that most sites are missing.
Okay, thanks. So next one is a question from Grzegorz. Yeah, so in response to Eric Schmidt's latest statement, blue links are a relic of the past and will disappear from search engines, which themselves will no longer be what they are. What do you think about this on a moral or technical level? Do you think US and European law can keep up with this? Because for me, if this were to happen, it's a serious problem. After all, Google was built on information from us, the internet users, and now there's a voice saying that we are no longer needed. Do you think these are just fees, or is this a real threat? A long question.
I mean, Eric Schmidt is a relic of the past. I mean, he left Google in what, 2009, 2010, something like that. Like, who cares? But look, as long as people need to find where to go have dinner tonight, they're gonna look online somewhere, and there's gonna be a form of search happening. That could be on Google, that could be somewhere else. And as long as there's an algorithm that's providing that answer, there will always be some form of SEO. We're not going anywhere. There will always be an optimization opportunity happening, and people will need to know how to do it, and there will be people that will make money off of it. So yeah, sure, fine. If the links disappear in the search engines, okay, there's still going to be a way that people are going to be able to access that information, and there'll still be some optimization for that, for sure.
Karl, do you want to add something, or you agree?
I think that's a mic drop statement there. I think it's very important to kind of keep in mind is that, you know, like Kyle said, like we're not Google optimizers, we're search engine optimizers. So like even if Google starts losing market share and like Bing takes over, it's like, cool, we're gonna shift our focus to Bing. Maybe it's a new platform, and like it's still algorithms. That's what we're good at. And we're gonna figure out how to game it. And it's the same thing like when featured snippets came out, everyone was like, oh my God, featured snippets are stealing away all our traffic. And then 9 months later, we're like, hey, here's the trick we used to get #1 on featured snippets. And for a lot of us, SEO actually got easier because we could be number 7 and then steal the spot that's at number 0, right? So Google's always going to be, there might be new SERP features. You know, we've seen them experimenting with different carousels and different versions of this. But if I look at my day-to-day Googling, I don't see that many of them. They ran their experiments. They didn't like it. They pull it back. It's going to keep changing. But like Kyle said, ultimately that data for those snippets is always gonna come from somewhere, and we're just gonna figure out new ways to make sure where the data we're kind of passing on.
Okay, so this next question from Andreas. For SEO, link, correct, Campbell and Holly Starks are saying, Float say you want to rank a German site, make sure to have certain % of German links, then continue with, say, English links. What your take on ranking Intel sites?
Yeah, I think we covered this before.
Yeah, go ahead, Karl. You nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we covered this already. Like, of course, if you want to rank a German site, you're going to need some German links, but it's not like there's no specific percentage of those. Like, Google needs to have enough reason to believe that you are a German site and you're not just gaming the system. And if you are a real business that's operating in Germany, you're probably already going to have a good amount of those. If you have 0, sure, build some more German links. But oftentimes we see that, just having the German citations, or like I rank a lot of sites in Estonia, and like if I just do the basic like Estonian directories and a couple of legitimate businesses linking to me, that's going to be enough. And then I shift my focus elsewhere to get some more power from like even English links. Or we've ranked Estonian sites using Latvian PBNs. We've done that before.
Yeah, links are global, so it's it depends on the situation, as you said earlier many times. Now it's
important to keep in mind that power when it comes to links is one of the most important things. Otherwise, it would be so easy for us to game it. If it was about getting a certain amount of just German links, for example, we could just buy or relevance. Let's say we just need links about gaming chairs and they need to be German. Well, then we could literally just set up 20 brand new .de domains and make them about chairs and publish content and build those links ourselves, just build those sites ourselves. But that's not going to work because those sites are brand new. They have no power. There's no reason for us to kind of trust those links. So ultimately, the power aspect is what makes those links valuable. And it's important to kind of keep that in mind with whatever type of link you're going to be building. Yeah,
even if you do it, but what then? What is the next step after dealing with those 20 websites that you've created? So good point of view. Mohammed also asks, with Google SGE update, does blogging is going to be dead now? How should we start a blog in the age of AI?
It's not that the blogging is dead. It's how you're going to monetize it. And so you just want to think about how, because you can still write content and rank for terms. It's how you're going to monetize is the key. And you just want to make sure that you're not going to do something that Google's not going to like. And the thing you want to avoid is being a doorway page where you're ranking for a term and then funneling all your traffic away from your site to convert. So if you can find a way to convert on the site, find a way to get around that type of an issue, then I think you're going to be totally fine. But it's not dead just because of AI. You can still create blog. You still create a blog and do niche content sites for sure.
Karl?
Yeah, I agree with that. It might change to an extent, but blogging is effectively just websites and information. They're not going anywhere.
Okay, Mikołaj asks other question, bit more with an old school approach. Does optimizing for keyword in a keyword plus city configuration, for example, car wash plus London, over time also increase visibility for the face car wash itself?
It would, but you're not going to rank for car wash itself because that's likely a definition if it doesn't have that geo qualifier. So as they see the term frequency of the location, they can piece together that this is a car wash in a location, not somebody looking for information on what a car wash is. Where often when you have a term on its own like that, the things that will come up are Wikipedia because it's defining what that term is on its own. And so you've got the specific location. And so while you maybe, will show up for more car wash on its own, you're unlikely to rank for it because you're not defining what a car wash is on that page.
Yeah, definitely. I think do homework and work about intention and location in terms of phrase that you're interested in. Karl, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the search intent, right? So sometimes if you search for car wash, it might be the definition of it. I just pulled up on my other screen, I searched for car wash, and it just pulls my location and does shows me nearby car washes, right? So now if I had car wash Thailand, car wash Chiang Mai, separate pages as well, the other way that's going to contribute to the main rankings is obviously I can use internal links to fuel back power to the main car wash page. So it would help from that perspective.
Okay, Sajid asks a third question from Sajid. Best interlinking practices, and is there a limit to number of interlinks on a page?
So I've got courses on this, and we go into a lot of detail. But really, don't link just for the sake of linking. There needs to be a real purpose to it. You need to link from something to something else for an actual reason. And just like throwing in a bunch of links, it isn't going to be anything of value. And where you first want to start is, what is the purpose of this page? What are you trying to do with the page? If it's a page you're trying to rank for a specific term that you're trying to make money off of, then you probably don't want a lot of links going on to that because you don't want to spread juice away from it. If this page exists to support another page, you want to figure out which page is it supporting. Is it just one page on your site? Then you really want to link to that one page and maybe a couple of its friends that are also supporting that page. If it's the kind of page that you're doing to attract link juice and you're trying to spread that through a category, that's going to link to a lot of different pages in that category. So what's the purpose of the page? And then from there, kind of decide how many links you want to go. But just to do it willy-nilly or have some sort of guideline on what number is too many is not the right approach. Link with a purpose, and link with a purpose, understanding what the purpose of that page is, and then that should give you some direction on what to do. And guys, I apologize. I have to bounce in 1 minute. I apologize for that.
No problem. No problem. So we give a last question to Kyle. Kyle, do you have any sites you recovered its traffic of sites that is affected March updates?
Nothing is recovered, and nothing's recovered from HCU. I would consider, what I would do is I'd actually look and see if you can put content on a subdomain and see if you can save that subdomain. So if some content was hit that dropped, put it on a subdomain on your site, see if the rankings come back. I would also put some content on a completely other domain that wasn't touched and see if the rankings come back. And if they do, I think that might give you some direction on where to go. I'm concerned that the sites that were hit in HCU and sites that were hit in the core update are on a naughty list, and they will be there for some time, and there might not be any actionable recovery for those sites, and you might want to consider alternatives to moving forward. That said, sites that have started after those updates and sites that weren't touched by it, all the techniques are still working. So all that's still going and all that's still fine. So I know some sites that have started post those updates and they're doing great, with no problem. So I honestly think this was a manual type penalty where they put sites on the naughty list to make a big splash and scare people into conforming in a certain way. But those sites might be in trouble for a while, but there are alternatives that I would explore.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Kyle. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Kyle. Thank you. It was a pleasure to have you here. So, two last questions. We have Karl. So, Karl, what are your best tips and recipes for creating prompts in large language models? Which models do you think are worth using for this purpose? Because besides OpenAI, and what are the most interesting AI tools you have recently seen?
Honestly, I don't have a good answer for this. I don't play around with AI to a large extent. I take a very simplistic approach to content because, like I mentioned before, I do think content is finite. So, like my goal with content is always to get it good enough for the user, and use tools like Surfer and Page Optimizer Pro to get it, to a certain point, get it to, a score of 80 out of 100, something around that. And then I just kind of move on to next topics, and then I focus on the link building side of things. So it's not something I obsess over. I don't think it's necessarily about what a specific tool you have to use. It's about the output, and different tools have different ways of getting you to the output. So you can create amazing content with ChatGPT. You can do it with Claude, but it's about what you give it and how you perceive what it gives you back, and then what do you do with that after. But we always use like a human touch at the end of it. So yeah. ChatGPT is a tool, or Claude is a tool, or Surfer is a tool to do a big part of the heavy lifting. But then, we have an expert writer in-house that's then going to look at it and be like, okay, like, am I actually getting value out of reading this? Is this good enough to publish? Is this aligned with my business, my brand guidelines, and what we stand for?
Okay. That was a question from Grzegorz. This is this is the last question from Patrick. If you've been cut off from subs after an update and your impressions in GSC have dropped to 0, but you are still indexed, what do you do? Let's discuss on two different examples. The first is small local business with just few pages optimized with POP and only 10 backlinks from guest posts, and the second is a blog website with 5K articles and tons of links.
Yeah, it's impossible to say in these scenarios because we don't know why it dropped to 0, right? There could be a million things. If you get to absolutely 0, but you're still indexed, to me, it kind of indicates some kind of technical issue. So it could be some kind of crawling issue or something along those lines, and I would dig into that. I haven't seen any helpful content update hits take you to complete 0, or like, yeah, this sounds like some kind of tech issue or manual penalty. So I think both of those examples would kind of indicate that. So check Google Search Console for any kind of anomalies. Check for a manual update from there, a manual penalty from there, and work backwards from that. And I don't really have much to add to that beyond that.
Okay, so the last question, the very last question, Matti asks, Karl, what is your current bench press record?
I don't actually bench press. I haven't for many years. It doesn't feel good on my shoulders. I mostly do machines and cables and different things, but been in the hundreds in the past.
Okay, so it's time for us. Many questions, many good questions from you guys. So thanks a lot. We have 5 minutes to close our webinar, and basically thank you very much for your participation. Remember two very important things. Take a look at the rules of our royalty program and start collecting points for Porsche, and slowly pack your bags and book flight to Tallinn for SEO Estonia. Karl, what about tickets? I give you a mic.
Yeah, so SEO Estonia is a conference Kyle and I started last year in Estonia. It is a 3-day conference hosted in Tallinn, Estonia. We have 17 world-class speakers. We have 2 separate masterminds. We have tons of networking, different parties, and it's really like an SEO conference with a touch of luxury. And the goal is really for all the speakers to fully take part of the event, for you to meet some really awesome people, have some of the best speakers in the world for you, and make some memories that you're never going to forget. So Linkhouse is one of our main sponsors, and they're giving out a free deluxe ticket for one of you guys. So please leave in the comments right now your honest thoughts on the webinar, whether it was valuable, if you have any takeaways, and just add hashtag value. And then between all of you guys, we're going to choose one of you, and within the next 10 minutes, we're going to choose one of you and give you a free ticket to SEO Estonia. And then for the rest of you, we have a special offer. So SEO Estonia prices go up literally in 24 hours. So we're going to be increasing the prices. For you guys, thanks to Linkhouse, we're bringing down the prices back to the early bird rates. So what the prices were last year when we announced it. So that will give you over 100 euros off every single ticket type. So if you use the coupon Linkhouse, that will give you the early bird prices again. And then on top of that, between everyone who buys a ticket using the coupon Linkhouse, in the next 24 hours, we're going to take one ticket and upgrade it to a VIP ticket, which is worth 1,800 euros. So you can buy a standard today, and one lucky person is going to be upgraded to a VIP ticket tomorrow.
Yeah, so good info. I hope that you will leave some thoughts about our webinar, as Karl said, and maybe we will meet in Tallinn. So yeah, thank you for participating. We don't have Kyle here, so I can't thank him, but Karl, it was a pleasure. I think we've been talking about very few many important things and interesting thoughts from you, from Kyle. Thank you for the questions, because I think a very useful things have been said. So yeah, see you in Estonia. Follow Linkhouse on our social media. Follow Karl. Follow Kyle, and yeah, see you soon on some other webinars also. So thanks a lot for it, and that's all. Bye, guys. Bye, Karl.
Thanks a lot. Bye.